Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we unpack the hidden stories in company filings. And today we're diving into US gold mining with a filing that's a bit unusual but gives us a peek into their financial reporting. This report, filed July 14th, 2025, is an 8K, which usually means something significant happened. But in this case, it's really about disclosure, specifically sharing some unaudited financial information from their parent company, GoldMining Inc. Think of it as a look at the family's checkbook, even if it's not a full polished report from US gold mining itself. It's for the 3 and 6 months that ended May 31st of 2025. Now, why is this important? Because it gives us a glimpse of the financial health and operational performance of the company, even if it's not the final word. We're talking about unaudited, condensed, consolidated interim financial statements and management's discussion and analysis, which is basically management explaining what those numbers mean. US Gold Mining has common stock trading on the Nasdaq under the ticker USGO. This means everyday investors can buy and sell shares in the company. They also have warrants trading as US GAO. These are basically options that give the holder the right to buy the company's stock at a set price, in this case $13, before the warrant expires. This is a common way for companies to raise capital, and it can signal a company's expectation that its stock price will go up. With only 2 months having passed since May, it's clear this filing isn't a full quarterly report, but rather an update to share specific financial figures for that period. The company is also flagging these financials as preliminary, meaning they are not yet finalized and could change. This is a crucial detail for investors to note. Now, the filing talks about unaudited financial information for the 3 and 6 months ended May 31, 2025. While we don't have specific dollar figures for revenue or profit here in the 8K itself, this information is contained within Exhibits 99.1 and 99.2 referenced in the filing. These exhibits are the actual financial statements and the management's discussion and analysis that we'd normally expect in a quarterly report. And importantly, the company stresses that these are unaudited, meaning they haven't been verified by an independent accounting firm and they weren't prepared according to US Generally Accepted Accounting Principles, or GAAP. They also mention these are preliminary and could change after their final quarter end close. And importantly, the company stresses that these are unaudited, meaning they haven't been verified by an independent accounting firm and they weren't prepared according to US Generally Accepted Accounting Principles, or GAAP. They also mention these are preliminary and could change after their final quarter end close. The company is really putting a disclaimer on these numbers, warning investors not to place too much reliance on them for investment decisions. They're saying the financials are limited in scope, cover a short period, and are prepared mainly for gold mining's reporting needs. This is a strong signal that while we can look at the trends, these numbers aren't the final word on the company's performance. They also state that these results should not be seen as indicative of future results, which is a standard but important caution. This phrase is pretty direct. It's the company telling investors to be extra cautious and not to base any major investment decisions solely on this information. They're practically saying, look, but don't bet the farm on this. This is a pretty significant point. GAAP is the standard language for financial reporting in the US. When a company says its financials aren't prepared under GAAP, it means they could be presented differently, making direct comparisons to other US companies more difficult and possibly less reliable. It's like looking at a score in a game played with different rules. This also means that the numbers we're seeing now might get revised. Think of it like a draft that's still being worked on. Any investor looking at this should be aware that what they see could be different by the time the official audited reports are released. This is the key takeaway from their cautionary statement. The final numbers could be quite different from what they're showing now. This is common in any financial reporting, but the company is putting extra emphasis on it here. Likely because these are unaudited and preliminary, it means we should look at the trends and directional changes, but not get too hung up on the exact figures. Now let's talk context. US Gold Mining is a company focused on the exploration and acquisition of gold mining assets. They operate in countries like Brazil and Colombia. Their business is inherently risky because it depends heavily on discovering and extracting valuable minerals. And commodity prices, especially gold prices, can be very volatile. When we look at the fact that they are providing these unaudited financials, it often happens when a company is undergoing significant changes, or maybe when their parent company needs to consolidate financial information for its own reporting purposes. In this case, it seems tied to GoldMining Inc's own reporting requirements. So what are the implications for investors? Firstly, this filing highlights the importance of reading the fine print. The company is being transparent about the limitations of the data. Secondly, it reinforces the speculative nature of gold mining exploration companies. They're still in the growth and discovery phase, and such companies often have fluctuating financial results. The fact that Tim Smith, the Chief Executive Officer, signed off on this report gives it authority from the top. CEOs signing off on 8K filing signifies the company's official acknowledgement and release of the information. As the Chief Executive Officer, Tim Smith's signature here indicates the company's official stand on the contents of the report, including the accompanying financial statements and management discussion. From my perspective, here's the rundown. US Gold Mining, through its parent company GoldMining Inc, is giving us an early unverified look at its financial performance up to May 2025. The company is being very upfront about the preliminary and unaudited nature of this data, which is good for transparency. However, it also means we can't draw definitive conclusions about their financial health or profitability based solely on this information. Any investor relying on this data should be aware that the actual audited figures might differ significantly. The key risk for a company like this is always exploration success and commodity prices. If they don't find enough gold, or if the price of gold drops, their financial outlook can change rapidly. The warrants being exercisable at 13 Tor News suggests that the company and its investors believe the stock has the potential to move. In conclusion, this 8K filing is less about a dramatic event and more about an update on financial reporting practices. It's a reminder that understanding the context and limitations of financial data is just as important as the data itself. Keep an eye out for their officially audited reports for a clearer picture. Alright, that's our breakdown of US Gold Mining's latest filing. What's your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company's future? Do you invest in mining exploration companies? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps us create more content like this, and remember to subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive. And don't forget to check out our Discord community linked in the description for more discussions and insights. Thanks for watching. See you next time.